A new report just exposed Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg, and it's being said that Alvin Bragg took years to prepare the systemic downfall of former President Donald Trump. However, that in and of itself was a red flag for critics because it means that Bragg, much like AG Letitia James, is in office for the sole purpose of prosecuting one man. That is their only goal, and there is nothing beyond that, which is why it's normal to see allies of the former president pissed about this entire deal. And it's also why more and more Americans are now waking up. They're waking up to the fact that these people don't care about them, that they don't think about how illegal immigrants have turned sanctuary cities inside out, how criminals continue to go through the justice system in New York as if it was nothing. These are also the same people who treat felonies like misdemeanors and misdemeanors like felonies. So here's what Representative Jim Jordan had to say about this 300-page brand new report.
Well, first of all, Alvin Bragg bragged about it. Bragged about the idea that he had sued President Trump or went after President Trump hundreds of times when he's campaigning. But once he gets in office, he realizes there's no real case here. He realizes what the Department of Justice realized when they didn't bring the case, what the Federal Elections Commission realized when they didn't bring the case, and even what his predecessor realized, Cy Vance at the Manhattan DA, when he didn't bring the case. But he has a guy working for him who volunteered, Assistant DA Mark Pomerantz, who was pushing this case, saying we got to go after Trump. He came to work for Alvin Bragg simply to go after Trump. And he's the one who persuades Alvin Bragg to do it, not while he's Assistant DA, but only after he resigns, throws a temper tantrum, does a media blitz, and most importantly, writes a book where he lays it all out, how he was out to get the president from the get-go. That's what prompted Alvin Bragg, frankly, and Donald Trump announcing that he was going to run for president. That's what prompted Alvin Bragg to bring this ridiculous case.
And Pomerantz called it the zombie case because it was dead, gone, and buried, and then the statute of limitations passed anyway. You talk about this as well. How is it, wouldn't you consider the third highest ranking official at Biden's DOJ to be a pretty prestigious job? Would you consider it that to be? Okay.
Sure
then
is.
Why did this guy move from that job to give opening arguments and work on this case in a DA's office in the state of New York? Why would you give up that big job?
Same reason Pomerantz was willing to work for free. They had a vendetta. They had an agenda to go after President Trump. Colangelo from the Department of Justice goes to the DA's office to go after President Trump. And Mark Pomerantz does the same thing. It was all about getting Trump. In fact, these are the guys who said, we can put Michael Cohen as our star witness. I mean, the one thing that probably bothers me most about this case right now is the fact that they put a gag order on President Trump. Former president, current Republican nominee for president of the United States, likely going to be our next president. I certainly hope he is. He's not allowed to talk, but Michael Cohen is.
Now, guys, before I really get into this thing here, all I ask is that you guys take 1 second, hit the like button for the video. I totally appreciate you. And I want to thank you so much for always sharing these videos on Facebook and Twitter. So a clear and dangerous precedent is being set here. The idea is that the former president can only take the insults. He can't dish them out. He can also be attacked, but once he defends himself, then he'll be fine because of the amazing gag order that Judge Juan Merchan put on him. So now it costs money to practice our First Amendment right. But let's get into this report from the House Judiciary Committee. So it starts off with the most appropriate introduction, a quote from AG Robert H. Jackson from April 1940. It states that if the prosecutor is obliged to choose his cases, it follows that he can choose his defendants. Therein is the most dangerous power of the prosecutor, that he will pick the people that he thinks he should get, rather than pick the cases that need to be prosecuted. Now, guys, this speaks volumes because that was 1940, and here we are in 2024. We're seeing the dangers of a prosecutor who targets specific people. And this report clearly shows how the New York County District Attorney's Office, or the DANY, they went into a multi-year investigation into Trump. Since at least 2018, the DANY has been allegedly researching into Donald Trump's personal life and business affairs. Now, the goal is to bring charges against him, no matter how far-fetched, novel, or even convoluted they might be. It's been said that they went back decades into the former president's life because they wanted something to hold him accountable for with some legal basis. The problem for their plan is that it didn't pay pan out. The report states that when one legal theory didn't work, DANY simply pivoted to a new theory, constantly searching for any crime that they can use to prosecute Trump. Is this something that you approve of? Because the committee is saying that it is a targeted effort against the former president. Much like AG Letitia James, Alvin Bragg built his office on Donald Trump's name. Prior to this election, the DA boasted about his experience with suing the Trump administration more than 100 times. And again, much like Letitia James, Alvin Bragg, he campaigned on a platform of holding the then President Donald Trump accountable. But let's get back to Mark Pomerantz here. So Pomerantz supposedly pressured Alvin Bragg into filing charges against Trump by writing a book and going public with his criticisms. In his book, Pomerantz described how eager he was to investigate President Trump. He even joined an unpaid group of lawyers advising on the Trump administration and essentially saying that he would have paid to join the investigation. Do any of you guys find that just a little bit suspect? Because this is odd. It takes a lot of disdain to work for no money at all just to get someone in trouble. From all perspectives, this looks like a personal vendetta. And let's look at what this report shows about Bragg's case against Trump. He charged the former president with 34 counts of falsifying business records. These charges are normally misdemeanors subject to a 2-year statute of limitations. Bragg, though, used a novel and untested legal theory. To make matters worse, this theory had already been declined by federal prosecutors. To upgrade this misdemeanor to a felony, Bragg alleged that business records were falsified to conceal a second crime.
Donald Trump was arraigned on a New York Supreme Court indictment returned by a Manhattan grand jury on 34 felony counts of falsifying business records in the first degree. Under New York state law, it is a felony to falsify business records with intent to defraud and an intent to conceal another crime. That is exactly what this case is about. 34 false statements made to cover up other crimes. These are felony crimes in New York State, no matter who you are. We cannot and will not normalize serious criminal conduct.
Now, the report goes on to say that the timing of this prosecution from the DANY, it provides clear vision that Bragg is motivated by political reasons. It's known to all of us that we're in an election year. Bragg knows that, Fani Willis knows that, Letitia James knows that, and so does Jack Smith. Which is why Donald Trump has called these cases as scams. That this is the work of the Biden administration in order to interfere with the 2024 presidential elections. And this is further proven when they realize that nothing has been charged since 2018 when it comes to Alvin Bragg's political prosecution of Donald Trump. The only factor that changed is that they're sure that he's going to be running for president this November. So all of this is being done just to prosecute a man, not a crime. If it was anyone else not named Donald J. Trump, Bragg probably would not have even batted an eye. And so this has led the House committee to call out this corruption, because that's what they're alluding to, that this is corruption at the heart of New York. But what do you guys think? Does this report show you that the likes of Alvin Bragg and Mark Pomerantz are incredibly biased against former President Donald Trump? Or do they actually have a legal basis for taking him to court? Now, I'm gonna do my best to keep y'all up to date. As always, I want to thank y'all so much for hitting the like button. Thank you for sharing these videos on Facebook and Twitter, and I'll see you on the next one.